Hey guys, welcome back to the show. And apologies, I had to pull yesterday's video. It got flagged. Of course, it got flagged, right? It was a really good video, but it's up on Odysee, as are all the videos. Some of you don't like to watch the videos here on YouTube, and you can go to Odysee and watch them there if you want. But yeah, some people complain about the ads here on YouTube. Well, that's how this channel is supported without having to ask you for money. The ads actually do that. It's the one good thing about YouTube. But basically, if the ads are too much and you're not a fan of that and you want to go to Odysee, every single video is mirrored over there every single day. So yesterday's video was no different. That went up over there. And basically, we broke down the animated cartoon from 1939 called Gulliver's Travels. And we drew some associations between Gulliver's Travels and Thump, and found some interesting connections as it relates to time travel as well, and portals. Crazy stuff. But it's so frustrating operating on this platform sometimes, where corporate and celebrity media, they go untouched. Basically, they can pretty much post whatever they want. They can say all the buzzwords and keywords, and it sails right through the algos. But the little people like us who actually help to make YouTube, we have to tiptoe around, and we're not even able to say the very same words without getting flagged. So fortunately, we have Odysee, which is a really cool tool to be able to back everything up. So I began to ask myself, why are these people so sensitive, about people like us? And I had to sit down and think about it for a minute. Because it's like, wow, these people really have nothing better to do than to basically nitpick channels like mine. And I think it's because they don't want Americans getting all excited about what's happening in K-Stan right now. And you guys know what I'm saying. K-Stan, we're going to call it. We can just call it Stan for short. Let's call it Stan. And we also covered some scriptures yesterday that they didn't probably like as well. We covered 1 Samuel 8, talking about the very first time that God's people had asked for a king. They wanted to be ruled by a man, and God went down the list and told them exactly what was going to happen if they got that and asked for it, and they wanted it anyway. And here we find ourselves right here in modern day, suffering the effects of our early ancestors who begged for a king. Now, why else are these controllers so, nitpicky about channels like this? Well, honestly, I don't think they have much to worry about. People are still very asleep in America. People are still choosing a side when they decide to do a protest. They still stand behind a man instead of themselves when they're trying to make change. And that tells you that they're still fast asleep. Because they simply, the controllers simply weaponize the right-left paradigm, and the leader that they choose for each side has their faults that are put in place to discredit them. And this goes for the right and the left. And until people wake up to that, you're going to keep falling for the fall guy. You're going to keep falling for the straw man. And it just saddens me. I remember when the spamdemic first started, right? And in the very, very beginning, many of you will remember when the lockdown started, the protests were across the board. They were right and left. But then somewhere along the line, infiltration happened, and basically it became an issue of the right. Just conveniently. Now, I didn't make that happen. You didn't make that happen. But for some reason, all these people started showing up with these, hats and this and that. And it was all about the T-man. And he was never the one that was going to stand up for your rights. In fact, he was the one that implemented all of this right under everybody's noses. And people said, well, he has to do that to get elected. Well, that's just the right-left paradigm speaking again. So how does change happen? Like what's happening in the stand right now, in the K stand. How were they able to get that change to happen? I mean, it's to the point now where they're resorting to they're done. They're not even trying anymore in terms of controlling this. They basically have turned it into a war. And they're actually physically like taking people out now. Instead of trying to control the riot, they're actually physically taking people out. So that tells you that they've lost control, and all that's going to do is enrage and embolden the people there to stand up even more. Now, they're trying to make this an issue about oil and gas and all this stuff, but it has absolutely nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the tyranny that all the countries of the world are experiencing right now. It's just some people are better at standing up than others. You notice the people over there are not picking another corrupt leader. They're not standing behind a leader that they want in place. They're just simply stating their case. Now, of course, the media is going to try to whitewash this and make it look like there are these extreme people that are doing this. And by doing that, again, that's a paradigm. They're trying to shove these people all into one paradigm to turn them into a viable target that then they can then go after, because they can just say, oh, those are just all extremists. We had to take them out because there was chaos. We can't have chaos. We've got to have the rule of law. Can't have people just doing whatever they want. So that's what's going on. And I'd ask myself, why are these algorithms so oppressive to little people like me? What are these people so afraid of? Well, it's because little people are much less likely to be sold out to information control. There is a form of mind control here on YouTube, believe it or not. Okay. And it's called, basically, it's a format that YouTube has promoted. It's a format. You guys all recognize it. It's kind of troubling, actually, when you watch some of these channels and their presentation, and it's like a meme. It's a format. It's the same format. And apparently this is the format for success. Now, I'm not talking about the truth community. I'm talking about just YouTube in general, what people watch. And there's this format to it. And people talk really fast, and they look like a cartoon character, literally about to pop out of the screen. There's quick edits, quick cuts. I can't watch just regular YouTube stuff. I cannot watch it. It's too fast for me. It's too fast. But this is the format that's being rewarded because that's what they want, people. They want you all over the place. They want you distracted. They want you living your life in sound bites. They want information overload of a bunch of empty information. Nothing that's really going to help you. It's all just repeated and regurgitated information. And they put a pretty face on it, or good music, or good editing, and then those become the multi-viral videos, right? But people like us, they don't like, because we don't fit into their format. We slow things down and we take a look at what's really going on in this world. We're not sold out to the format because, honestly, I really don't care. I'm not going to change the way we do things here just to get more people to watch this channel. Why do people listen to us when they come to this channel? It's not because we're propped up or produced. It's because the message resonates and it is true. And that's less people that the elite can mind control to sleep. You guys, the controllers are super paranoid right now. And you can tell by the way they try to compare the crapper hole event to much more serious events in history. They actually try to compare the two. Really? And at this point, they are so paranoid that they want to know every single post, every message, every sentiment, every single thing out there. They want to know. Why do you think this is? Why are they so paranoid? Well, it's because they know that they're doing us wrong. That's why. It's like the bully in the playground who's constantly looking over his shoulder. Gets exhausting after a while. Look at this article. The FBI and the Department of Treehouse Security tracking online posts promoting the crapper hole. Okay, so what does it mean to promote it? Okay, so now if you have anything to say about the crapper hole, they're going to basically And if it's anything that's not going along with the left-leaning rhetoric that condemns it and compares it to all these horrible events that happen in history, then now you're open to being tracked and your online posts scrutinized. This is crazy. This we're literally living in a nightmare, backwards world. LE is tracking online posts, promoting a reunion of the Crapper Hole and other threats tied to the upcoming anniversary. The calls, okay, we're not going to read this, okay, because I think this is what got us busted last time, right? Anyway, so I woke up this morning to about 8 inches of snow on the ground. It's crazy here in Connecticut, and it's still coming down as we speak. For those of you that live in the warmer states with no snow, you probably are not accustomed to this. You basically have to dig your car and driveway out of the snow before it turns into ice. It's like a race. And there is no just not doing it. It has to get done. Fortunately, I'm feeling a whole lot better. I'm feeling almost back to normal. And it was kind of nice to get out there and sweat a little bit. But, for me, it's weird. It's like when the snow is actually coming down, it feels warm to me for some reason, like a blanket or something. It feels a lot warmer than like a cold day with no snow. And then some wind on top of that. Wow, it gets really cold. But it didn't feel too bad out there, Cold or snow is actually not really that cold, unless you get it all over you and you get wet. But yeah, so that's what's going on over here. Anyway, let's get into some more of these headlines here. And as you know, the messaging about how to handle the spamdemic has been all over the place. And now they're saying it's because of politics. But really, it's about what they think that they can get away with in terms of control, in my opinion. How far they can push the mandates, which by default enriches the pharmaceutical companies, of course. They're very dishonest pharmaceutical companies, by the way. Everybody knows. So why do we continue to trust these people? Right? And people are starting to get tired, and they're starting to wake up because they've pretty much gone too far at this point. And they'll continue to go as far as we let them. Heck, if it was up to them, and then they knew that they could get away with it, they'd have us on a 3-month Pokemon sticker cycle. Right? And there'd be jail, or they would force those who don't comply to take the Pokemon sticker. They'd even raise taxes on the poor to make it look like Europe. That's what the United States would look like if there was no opposition. And we're getting to the point where there isn't going to be able to be any opposition. And that's when Gee Whiz comes online and becomes self-aware. And the algorithms simply run through America like a sword and enforce with 100% accuracy all the dumb little laws that they pass. And when you oppose the law or you try to vote someone else in, and you say that wasn't fair, that was fake, they'll just say that's misinfo and go away. And that's where the world we're going to live in. There will be no opposition. We'll talk more about that in the coming days. So, what's the only thing stopping these people? Well, the only thing stopping them from going full on is their fear of triggering the American public. After all, these people, they want to feel safe in their homes too. They want to feel safe when they go out in public. They want to go party down in Florida with their friends in public and do all this stuff without having any fear of being disliked or hated. Now, unfortunately, we still live in a country where even if someone dislikes a politician, they wouldn't do anything to that person, right? But, how much longer is this going to go on? They're just slowly squeezing people, slowly changing the psyche of America, changing our mindsets. I've seen this in so many different areas. You see this in hunting, for instance. just slowly tightening the screws. Anybody will tell you, anybody from generations past, and there may be some of you in the chat right now, will tell you how drastically things have changed in terms of rules for hunting. Rules that make absolutely no sense. The only purpose is control. We've done shows on this, like deer hunting, for instance. 2 tags you get, and meanwhile we got deers overrunning America because they haven't been culled and controlled the way they should. There are no predators anymore because most of the predators that they had are gone because of just naturally the growth of America, right? So, there used to be a lot of grizzly bears and big black bears and a lot of predators for these deer, and now there just aren't as many. It's just the way it is. See the same thing in the ocean. You're seeing shark attacks now very frequently. Why? Because they protected the seals, which is the food source for the shark. They protect the shark. So you've got these shark cruising around that are probably way more sharks than are really supposed to be out there because the sharks are being protected. And now we got shark attacks. So you can't wade in the water anymore without fear of some shark cruising around. If you ever want to go check out a really cool drone video, go on YouTube and type in shark drone footage, and it will blow you away. There's a whole channel of a guy that has a drone, and he just sits with the drone over just regular beaches in California all the way up the Pacific coast. And he looks down the water, and there are literally hundreds of sharks just swimming around people. And this isn't just one beach or 2 beach. This is pretty much every beach he goes to. And they're like, oh, sharks are all around us all the time when you're out surfing. They just rarely actually eat people. So check that out when you're done with this show, because I was blown away. Now, there was one particular video where the shark is like stalking a little boy on a paddle board. Not a paddle board, but a boogie board. And little boy's just cruising around. He can't see the shark. The shark's coming right behind him, right at his feet. And the drone operator didn't think to warn this child that this shark was cruising up behind him. And he made the excuse or justification of not warning the parents or the child by saying, the shark was just curious. Well, how do you know? Are you a shark psychic? Were you inside the shark's head? So, weird times, you guys. Weird times. Sharks everywhere. And understand that this is all spiritual. The reason why the elite and the controllers worship the shark, which they pretty much do, is because it's spiritual. The shark represents something, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Now, what else do we have here? Let's get on to some of these other stories. Oh, so let's look at this messaging here and how it's changed. For the, we need to come up with a good name for this corporation who's making our life so miserable. Anyway, we'll just refer to it as Walensky. For Walensky, a steep learning curve on messaging. Yeah. Well, they're talking about this like it's some kind of sales pitch. Messaging? This is the kind of words I used to use when I worked in sales. What's your messaging? Your messaging must be clear, concise, and you must challenge the objections. And, what is this, a sales course? They're literally trying to sell this to us. 2 days before Christmas, with the Omicron driving near vertical rise, director of the Walensky's alerted the White House that she was planning to recommend that people infected with the virus isolate for 5 instead of 10. The director, Rochelle Walensky, had faced previous criticism for issuing recommendations that confused the public. Yeah, people are very confused. And some of the decisions they made absolutely no sense. Determined to avoid that this time, she briefed other top Bojivan health officials on her proposal so they would all be on the same page. Did not work out that way. Dr. Slouchy, the nation's top expert and whatever, the Surgeon General were concerned that the new guidance did not urge people to get a negative test before ending their isolation. Now, just so you know, the testing companies are now price gouging. I thought this wasn't supposed to happen in America. Well, we remember it happened under Thump too, and he was like, "We're going to get serious about price gouging," and then lo and behold, price gouging still happened, and then they blamed it on us. Oh, it's your fault because you guys are stockpiling. Really? I didn't know anyone that had a living room full of toilet paper. And is it really against the law to buy 4 or 5 packs of toilet paper knowing there's going to be a shortage? No. And then should that make the price go up? No. So these people just lie. They just lie through their teeth. On Wednesday, 9 days after that guidance was issued and a day after it was slightly modified to include some advice on testing, they said it'd still have a hard time explaining itself. How do you expect people to keep track of what they can and can't do? A reporter asked Walensky. It was a familiar refrain. Djokovic came into office vowing to restore public trust in the seeds of the sea after the Thump White House had tied the agency's hands. No, they didn't. They didn't tie their hands. They did what they wanted to do. The lockdowns, the this, the that, the mandates, it was all happening under him too. Nothing's really changed. In fact, believe it or not, under Djokovic, it seems like, well, okay, he did do the federal mandate, so he did one up the thumpster. That would have probably never happened to another thumpster because he had to protect his base. Well, now he's let all the wheels fall off and he's doing whatever he wants now and saying what he wants and agreeing with Djokovic. And then you got Djokovic roasting him at this crapper hole speech. I mean, we're in backwards world, you guys. None of this makes any sense to me at all. And that's how you know that they're just basically in free fall right now. So the messaging's all over the place. Everybody knows it and people are sick of it. And look at this story. Your religion doesn't give you the right to go on Pokemon stickered and expose others to Vidco. Seriously? How about it doesn't matter if you got stuck or not? You can spread Vidco. And how about religion has nothing to do with any of this? And who can force you to put things in your body that you don't want? How about that? That's the way I think and most rational people think. I always tell people, it's your responsibility to protect yourself. You want to wear a biosuit to Walmart or an M95 mask? That's your right. I don't care if you tape yourself up with duct tape in a garbage bag and cut a little hole open and stick a mask over it. I don't care if you do that. I'll look at you. I might laugh, but I'll respect your right to do that. And I can't tell you not to do that, but you can't force me to do it either. You can't force me to put things in my body. You can't force me to wear things I don't want to wear. Period. What if a law came out tomorrow and said, well, you must all wear skinny jeans now to save the environment? I mean, think about how ridiculous that is. I don't fit into skinny jeans. I don't know about you guys. But this is how ridiculous this has gotten. You must wear skinny jeans. I think everybody would agree that there's what's called a continuum of how safe you can make yourself, given whatever perceived threat that you think is out there, right? Some people go to extremes. They do open carry because they feel as though their life is under threat. And so they will do things like that. Other people just simply don't go out during the flu season because they're afraid. And maybe rightfully so. Maybe they have compromised immune systems. Or they want to mask up. People were masking up before Vidco. But it's your personal right to or not to. And if you seriously thought other people could do you harm, you'd increase your protection, wouldn't you? I mean, you can spend hundreds of dollars on face gear that all but guarantees that the air that's breathing through it is 100% filtered. If that's your right and you want to do that, that should not be shared. That responsibility should not be shared with the people around you. If you have a perceived threat, you simply get a better HEPA filter. I don't care if you stick HEPA filters all over your face. like Pinhead, and you think that's going to make you safe. So, when did self-protection become everybody else's responsibility? To the point where we're losing our jobs, to the point where we're being kicked out of stores, to the point where people in many parts of the world are suffering. When did that happen? Do the controllers really care that much about us? Do they really care that much about us to try to protect us with this stuff? I don't think so. They've proven that they don't care about us. They've proven that they don't care about life, right? In the womb. They've proven that. How easily that can be thrown away and discarded. So are they really caring about us, or is this about something else? Because in backwards world, it's everybody else's responsibility to protect you. Let me give you an example. Back before Vidco world, there were people who truly believed that every surface should be wiped down before it was touched. We all know who they are, right? The germaphobes. I knew a couple people like that. Remember they started this whole thing? Heck, you guys, 10 years ago, there were no wipe down the cart before you went into the supermarket. They were preparing us for this. This was a long, drawn-out con, wasn't it? And I remember even my mom would wipe down the cart. I'm like, Mom, this is what are you doing? She's like, I'm wiping down the cart, son. I'm like, why? Why are you wiping down the cart? And then I'm like, okay, look, I have to draw the line there because it's my right to not wipe down the cart, but it's her right to want to wipe down the cart, right? As long as that doesn't spill over into my life, then it's fine. But now imagine that the people who wipe down the cart, imagine if they ran the country. Imagine that they would make laws that would put rules on supermarkets and grocers and merchants to be constantly wiping things down. In other words, they would make their fear your responsibility, right? Now, there's many more examples of this when you really logically just sit down and use your brain, use critical thinking instead of following the memes and the media. Like, for instance, there are certain people that believe that certain breeds of dogs should be illegal, right? And if they were in power and they had control, just so they could feel safe, they would outlaw certain breeds of dogs in America, wouldn't they? Of course they would if they had the power to do that. Right? So these are just a few examples. Now here's another example that isn't as common anymore, but there are still people in America that don't feel safe around certain races of people. And if they ran the country, even in 2022, like I said, it's a very small fraction of people that feel this way. And usually it's out of ignorance. But they would make neighborhoods where those races would not be. This is what, if they could run America, this is what it could look like. Right? So, let's back up now. Since we know that it's not our responsibility to make other people feel safe, then all of that I just said gets wiped completely off the table. But in backwards world, they are still allowing that to happen. And people are paranoid. And that paranoia is spilling out into the rest of America. And laws and mandates are being made to oppress the other people who don't get it and don't agree with it. So now you know why this whole it's your responsibility to keep me safe thing is a slippery slope. Because how far will some people go against their fellow citizen so that they can feel safe? Well, the media hasn't hidden their feelings, have they? They've said things like, we should be shamed, and we should suffer, and we should be locked up, and we should be forced. And they've said far worse, haven't they? So the question is, where is the line? Where is the line? The line is at personal responsibility. With sensible accommodations for the less fortunate. Things that make sense. Let me give you an example. I don't mind special store hours for seniors, for instance. Go ahead and give them the first hour or two of the store opening. That's a reasonable accommodation. These are people that maybe are more at risk to have a much more terrible reaction to VidCo, right? And they could lose their life in extreme instances. And so wouldn't it make a whole lot more sense to give them the store for the first 2 hours, have a cleaning crew come through and wipe everything down or whatever, spray whatever you want, and then let the rest of the people come in? Wouldn't that make so much more sense? It would avoid all the conflict and all the anger and all the division and everyone looking at everyone all mad because your mask is under your nose. How dare you? Wouldn't it avoid all that? Of course it would. But that would make too much sense in backwards world, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Let's read this article here. Your religion. Look, they're just roasting us. This is why you don't buy into the paradigms. I don't belong to a religion. So what are you even talking about? Let's watch this. Let's read this. I was appalled by the column from the unstickered special education sticker teacher, whatever, who whines about the need for treating others with respect. She demands that her faith be respected, despite offering little rationalization. You don't need any rationalization. Just because. You know, we should all just write signs that say, just because I want to. You know, you don't, since when you got to prove anything to anybody? I thought this was America. They don't have to prove to me why they want to flip-flop on their areas of sexuality. So then why do I have to prove to you? Why don't I have to jab something in my body? Well, because we're in backwards world. She demands that her faith be respected despite offering little rationalization for a supposed religious exemption, other than a misplaced concern over the fact that the cells are there that were used in the development of these Pokemon stickers. She insists that it is to be solely an issue between her and some mysterious notion of what God wants. See, this is why you don't get into these paradigms. You don't buy their labels, because then they just turn the label around and they roast you with it. I don't question her dedication as a teacher. I have no doubt she plays an important role in her students' lives, but I choke on her insistence that her religion relieves her of a responsibility to the greater community at large. It's not your responsibility to make anyone else feel safe. Now, it's a noble thing. Like if you see someone getting beat up in the street and you try to break up the fight, that's a noble thing to help other people feel safe, but it's not a responsibility. So I'm not going to read any more of this humiliation, because it serves no purpose other than to laugh at it. But this is what's out there, you guys. And this is why we do these between the headline shows, because we got to show you what's going on out there in the world. So this next article we talked about a couple shows ago. Griswold lawyers are trying to get a retrial because some juror was running their mouth about how they had experienced similar things that these girls had. And because of that, it could be a mistrial. And this goes back to the two definitions of justice in America, right? This also has to do with scapegoating. Now, I'm not defending Griswold, but they are attempting to make her the scapegoat. They want this all to go away. They want to pin it all on this donkey, and they don't want anyone else looked at. So she might actually get a new trial. Now, if you think this can't happen, understand that who is the guy who took out his wife and unborn child? He just got a new trial. How did that happen? Same thing, the juror, something about the juror or something. Now, what kind of justice system do we have in America where trials can get just thrown out? That makes no sense. That needs to change. You can't just throw trials out. If a jury convicts someone, that should be set in stone. I mean, unless it was something egregious, like the person was like a racist or something, and you were able to like prove that. Like they were part of the some group, okay, and you were able to actually prove that, and they were marching in the streets in white sheets or something, then you could say that could be a mistrial. But this is hogwash. This is stupid. You guys, what they even admit the statistics are like that 1 in every 2 people is like abused at some point in their life. So what are they going to go through and only find jurors that have never had this happen to them? This is ridiculous. It's an impossible bar that they've set here. Okay, so this is what they're saying about Griswold. We have to call her because we can't even say her name on YouTube anymore. Now, what else do you think's going on? Well, let's go back to Griswold. There's some other things I wanted to tell you about her. So the trial's over. She's been convicted, and there's still no pictures. I mean, somebody would have leaked a photo, right? Instead, we got these comic book photos that still don't even look like her. And let's say she was really there. Let's say this is all real, and she really is in prison, and she's going to be there for a while because she got convicted. What about all the hundreds of other people who flew on the plane with minors? Right? Right. Not holding my breath in backwards world. Anyway, for those of you who follow tennis, this is the top tennis player in the world, Djokovic. And it's funny because his name says Novak for me. I mean, this is crazy. So the guy basically got an exemption, completely legal exemption, which was not honored in Australia, and they won't let him compete in Australia because of his sticker status. Now, as we all know, things have gone off the rails in Australia, and the government, even in this case, is using the Hegelian dialectic to turn the citizens, the Australian citizens, against Djokovic. How are they doing this? They're saying that he's getting special treatment by getting an exemption and that he should be treated just like everyone else. So he should get hosed too. And so, I mean, what are these people in 3rd grade? He got his lunch taken away, so I got mine taken away, so he should get his lunch taken away too. I mean, really, this is where we've come to. Instead of standing up on principle, we're now going to say that just because it happened to me, it's going to happen to you too. This is the state of the world right now, you guys. It's very, very sad. And the controllers do this on purpose because why? Because it takes the focus away from the situation that the controllers created, the unfair situation. When you start pitting people against each other, it takes the focus completely away. This is how they keep us divided. Well, I had to do it, so you got to do it too. And this is why they were hoping for a majority of people to get the sticker, because they were like, okay, if we get a majority, then the people will let the people pressure the other people to get it. We'll blame them for this going on for as long as it has, and the people will turn against those who have not gotten it yet. Now, we were saying this in the very beginning in March of 2020 when this all started. We were saying this was going to happen. Very few people believed it, but now here we are. Now, this next story is interesting. What is this? Bats. And warning, if you get weirded out about bats. I don't particularly like bats either. I mean, what was the story behind that? What was God thinking when he made bats? Well, they keep bringing up this rabies thing, don't they? And now in this case, they're saying that 3 people that were in close proximity to bats got rabies and died. Apparently, with rabies, as soon as you start seeing symptoms of the rabies, then it's 100% fatality rate. This is crazy. I didn't know this, but apparently it says Idaho, Illinois, and Texas, and each person was in direct contact with rabid bats in late September, early November, and then they just died. And apparently they didn't know that they needed to go to get this rabies sticker because they do have a rabies sticker. And if you take it as soon as you're exposed, then there's a 100% recovery rate. But if you wait and you don't know you've been exposed and you start feeling symptoms, then it's the beginning of the end. Now, why is this important? Why do they keep bringing this up? Reading between the headlines here. Well, I believe this is all about preconditioning for the zombie apocalypse at some point. We're already starting to see it. You guys have already started to see people's behavior, just acting zombie-like, like obsessive, yelling at people, instability in the public. People are just losing it. The perceived shortages, and they're elbowing each other in line, and, everyone's upset because there's no testing kits. I mean, it's getting weird out there. Now, rabies is the basis of the zombie virus in zombie lore, as many of you know. Oftentimes it started out with some kind of rabies outbreak. And so they're bringing these stories back up to the forefront of people's consciousness about these people that got these rabies bites or these bat bites. Now, it's interesting because oftentimes people don't know that they got infected because bat fangs are very small. Sometimes they barely graze the skin or break the skin, but that's all it takes, according to them, for you to be infected. But look at this, nearly always fatal. That's crazy. Now, think about this for a second. If this is truly the case, if every single bat out there is carrying rabies, I mean, here you have 3 different people from 3 different states who all barely got touched with a bat and died. Well, in backwards world, they don't do a thing about it. Oh, leave those bats alone. They're not hurting anybody. Oh, but if you don't get the Pokemon sticker, you stay home, you lose your job, you evil infected person. We're getting treated worse than the bats. This is crazy. And this is 100% kill rate with a bat. Welcome to backwards world. Anyway, I think we have... Oh, here's one. In backwards world, adults can just go behind the parent's back and light up your child with a Pokemon sticker. Video appears to show New York teacher illegally administering a Vidco Pokemon sticker to a minor without the parent's consent. This person should be in jail for life. Laura Parker Russo, a Long Island school teacher, began her new year in hot water after being arrested for allegedly giving what was believed to be a vial of approved Pokemon sticker to a teenager. Not only did Russo fail to seek permission from the 17-year-old's parents, but she is neither a medical worker nor she's authorized to administer Pokemon stickers. Oh, like all the people at Walmart and Target and all the other places where you can get one? Okay. According to the press release, the incident occurred on New Year's Eve at Russo's home. Oh, she just wanted to ring in the new year at 55 Summit Avenue, where she administered... I mean, this is crazy. Is this even real? The police noted that the boy's mother had not given permission or authority to have her son get a Pokemon sticker. Following an investigation, authorities discovered that the 54-year-old had no authority to give the young man the sticker, noting that the educator was not a professional medically. Russo was placed under arrest without incident and later charged. Oh. So, just got rogue people running around trying to stick your children. Talk about protecting your children. Man. Okay, let's go back in here. Sorry, it's a wild day today. Gotta go out and shovel some more snow, likely. Let's go back in here and see what you guys are up to. Oh, did we get knocked off? Okay, there it goes. It's starting back up here. I think we must have been buffering. Ah, man, take a deep breath there. I love bats. Look, I don't have anything. I'm not recommending that they go out and eradicate all bats, but look at the hypocrisy. That's what I'm trying to get you to look at. A bat in a cave is more protected and more respected for their bodily autonomy than a human being who they haven't even proved if you're doing anything wrong. They haven't even proved that you're carrying something that you're going to give to someone else. They're literally ruining people's entire lives. There are nurses who went to a lot of years of school to get their nursing degree. Just kicked off, flicked off like a flea off of a dog. And it's completely unfair, and everybody knows it. But yet the bat, who's highly contagious, who barely can graze your skin with its saliva and basically kill you, is completely left alone. They're not even talking about eradicating bats because of rabies. It's backwards world, you guys, and everybody knows it. You just have to sit and think about it for a minute. But if everyone sat and thought about how backwards things were, we would live in a different world, wouldn't we? Instead of following these leaders who don't know what they're talking about, who talk in circles, we're sitting here just dealing with all this crap, and it's starting to irritate me. And I know it's irritating you guys too. But it helps to talk about it, doesn't it? At least you know that there are people that make sense in this world, and you're not alone. So, yeah, it is. Here comes the bat jokes. That's bat crazy. So, yes, our life means nothing today. To them, we're useless eaters. Yeah, how did the teacher even get a Pokemon sticker vial? Good question. I'd like to know. Running around with a holster full of vials? I mean, what? That story needs to be dug into a little bit, because that's crazy. Man, I would love somebody to try and light up one of my children with a Pokemon sticker. They would get beat down so fast. Talk about a good reason to beat somebody down. No, we're not supposed to do that. Anyway. Someone says Novak's in prison? No way. I know he got turned around at the airport. So, yeah, so they got the people of Australia just roasting Novak. Just like all hating on him. You think you're special because you're a tennis star? You guys, that's not the point. At least the guy had stood up for his principles. It's not his fault that these mandates are being forced on people in a country where there's almost no cases. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. Anyway, I'm ranting today. Sometimes we got to rant. I'm just angry they I had to take down that video yesterday. That was a really good video, you guys. It's a really good video. So, anyway. Oh, man. Novak for Novak, huh? Yeah, it's weird. Like, all the weirdest creatures are the ones that the elite love to defend and do. Have you seen some of these? Some of these like wildlife films. Look at the bat, the amazing bat. They live in a cave, and they just talk these creatures up that are completely disgusting. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't go so hard on the bats, but anything that is that contagious. I mean, they got squirrels attacking people. At least squirrels are cute. I can see defending a squirrel. You stay out of the squirrel's way and the squirrel stays out of your way. And if a squirrel's attacking people and biting fingers off, that could be a rabies situation, I would think. Because, the squirrels around here are actually pretty nice. Some of them look a little rough. But, they pretty much stay out of your way unless you leave your food out that got delivered. Then they'll go in and eat all your hot dog buns. But, that's kind of cute. So that's fine. Feed the animals. But, man, can you imagine? You got bats cruising around and like sniping you when you walk out of your house. Another animal I don't understand is like hornets. I mean, I lived in Texas and some of these hornets were just unbelievable. Like, they'll like come after you and like dive bomb you. Oh my God, why did you make this creature? I don't like this creature. And then I had to repent because, I guess they all serve a purpose, right? And then I wonder if they've been like genetically altered to be like evil, right? I mean, I wouldn't put that past anything. Like maybe things were a lot different back during the garden and everything, and maybe some of these creatures just turned evil after sin entered the world. Who knows? All right. Well, I think we've been on here long enough. Love you guys, and it's Friday, so I guess I may do like a headline show, like pre-recorded over the weekend. I don't know. And we'll be back on our Monday. I'm trying to watch this Wheel of Time. Everyone's been telling me, watch the Wheel of Time. Here's the Wikipedia article for it. And I've been trying, but right off the bat, I just wanted to throw up in my mouth because they were like, women rule the world and all the men are slaves to the women. I'm like, this is going to be very difficult for me to watch. So if I can get past that and the whole feminist aspect to this, and then we might be able to get through this series. But yeah, don't start a movie and show out by saying that women rule the world and wiped out all the men and they're all your slaves. I don't think that's going to go over too well. All right. Okay, you guys, I'm going to let you go. Love each and every one of you. Have a great weekend. Take care and be safe.